Hello everyone, welcome to Ande Visits. In today's video, we'll be discussing about 5 books and movies that basically predicted the coronavirus. Epidemics and plagues have stalked humanity for centuries, inspiring literature and other forms of art stretching back to before we even had the germ theory of diseases. But while many fictional pandemics are too implausible to be readily believed, sometimes a movie or books use surprisingly close to life. When it comes to the novel coronavirus COVID-19, there are a handful of fiction stories with enough overlap with real events for us to wonder, did the author somehow predict the current pandemic? Some of these viral predictions are so much stressing they can't be said to have even superficially predicted the coronavirus pandemic. Others are so close, you will wonder if the predictor really could see into the future. The Masque of the Red Death, written by Edgar Allan Poe and directed by Roger Corman, published in 1842, movie released in 1964. The Red Death doesn't resemble COVID-19 symptoms at all, nor does it prognosis, which kills its victims within minutes. The whole seizure, progresses and termination of the disease were the incidents of half an hour. But while there is nothing in the disease itself that could be seen as predicting the novel coronavirus pandemic, Poe's social diagnosis is likely to sound a little more familiar. In the short story, Prince Prospero invites 1,000 hale and light-hearted friends to wait out the disease with him in a secluded, fortified abbey. They gathered ample provisions, welded the door bolts closed and resolved to wait out the plague. The external world could take care of itself, they thought. But around month to 5 or 6, Prince Prospero decides to throw a descendant masked ball, but then a mysterious stranger, seemingly a masked embodiment of the disease itself, shows up the party. It doesn't end well. Roger Corman's lush 1964 movie adaptation flashes out the parable-like Poe story, adding a kidnapped peasant girl and underlining the content the rich revolvers hold for the lower classes trapped outside with the disease. End of Days, Predictions and Prophecies about the End of the World, written by Slyvia, Browne and Lindsay Harrison, published in 2008. Ever since Kim Kardashian tweeted a photo from End of Days Predictions and Prophecies about the End of the World, people have begun crediting the self-proclaimed psychic Slyvia Browne with predicting the coronavirus. In around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments. She predicts in End of the Days in an eerie reflection of the coronavirus pandemic. Almost more baffling than the illness itself will be the fact that it will suddenly vanish as quickly as it arrived, attack again 10 years later and then disappear completely. The Eyes of Darkness, written by Dean Koontz, published in 1981. In thriller author Dean Koontz's 1981 novel, a group of campers drop dead without explanation. Eventually it comes out that a Chinese bioweapon may have been to blame. A Chinese scientist named Li Chen defected to the United States carrying a diskette records of China's most important and dangerous new biological weapon in a decade. One chapter explains, in the Eyes of Darkness, they called the stuff Wuhan 400, but it was developed at their RDNA labs outside the city of Wuhan, and it was the 400th viable strain of man-made microorganisms created at the research center. Wuhan 400 is a perfect weapon. Other than the name, Wuhan shared with the city in China where COVID-19 is believed to have originated, the coronavirus pandemic shares nothing in common with Koontz's bioweapon. Only completely unsustainable conspiracy theories claim COVID-19 is a biological weapon, with the actual origin of the novel coronavirus traced to the human seafood wholesale market suggested the virus origins in animals. The current prime suspect in the horseshoe bat, since the SARS-CoV-2 virus is closely related to other coronavirus found in bats, not the Chinese military. Les Propheties, written by Michael de Nostrademas, published in 1555. For as often as Nostradamus is believed to have predicted current events, it's surprising how little resemblance any of his predictions have to the novel coronavirus pandemic. In Les Propheties, the French astrologer and physician made predictions in 4-line stanzas called quatrains, 942 in total. Nostradamus mentioned plague a handful of times throughout Les Propheties, but only one quatrain seems at all relevant to COVID-19. From the vain enterprise, honor and unplain, bots tossed about among the Latins' cold hunger waves. Not far from the Tiber, the land stained with blood, and diverse plagues with upon mankind. It's pretty thin as far as predictions go, but Nostradamus' mention of the Tiber, a river in Italy, often seen as a symbol for the country and its history, could be seen as an allusion to the European nation, which has been particularly hard hit by the coronavirus pandemic. Contagion. A streaming hit, Contagion, has been heralded as prophetic, but really it's just well researched, inspired by the 2009 H1N1 swine flu pandemic. Burns consulted with medical experts from the World Health Organization while writing the screenplay to pandemic thriller. In the movie, a fictional virus called MEV1 hops from bats to pigs to people, quickly spreading from its Hong Kong origin point. Contagion follows a large cast of characters as they react to spreading viruses, including a CDC investigator played by Kate Winslet, who explains how the virus spreads in terms that will be familiar to anyone paying attention to COVID-19. So did it predict the coronavirus? No, but Contagion is likely the most accurate movie about viral pandemics ever made, creating significant overlap with the COVID-19 scenario.